Alright, now that we got that pussy shit out of the way, let's get to the fucking meat! Sorry, if you were just confused and horrified about that intro, then you probably haven't watched part 1 to this video, in which I introduced this 2-part series and rank all the games I played in 2019 that were not released in that year. Go watch that first. I mean, unless you really don't want to. I mean, it's okay. Like, I'm not gonna blame you. I don't really know what you got going on in your life anyways, and like, you know, we all have different things and different interests, and like my favorite games of 2019. Number 13, Concrete Genie. Concrete Genie is a cute little game about painting these Tim Burton Monsters Incorporated looking things on walls, and in exchange for granting them the immaculate gift of sentience, they like zap things for you, or whatever. It has a great art style and an even greater heart, but it saddened me to discover that outside of the game's main mechanics, as unique and cool as they are, there's not much else there. Get to an area, paint some genies, a little bit of platforming, a little bit of kind of not really stealth, rinse, repeat. I gave up about halfway through so I could buy Control instead. Oh, spoiler alert. Number 12, Super Mario Maker 2. In theory, I love Mario Maker. See, I never had a Wii U, so I had to sadly watch everyone have an insane amount of fun from the sidelines, much like the majority of my childhood sports career. Yeah, thanks a bunch for that, Coach Andy, fucking prick. So, after 4 years of watching countless YouTube videos of people playing these really cool Mario levels that I'd never get the chance to play, imagine my hype when Mario Maker 2 gets announced for the Switch. Whoa, that's a console I actually own. It's almost as if the Wii U sucked gigantic pee-pee or something. Anyways, I excitedly slam dunked Mario Maker 2 into my Switch, played it like twice, and then got bored because Nintendo made it stupidly hard to consistently find levels that are actually good. And unless you're a YouTuber and constantly have people sending you levels to play for your epic gaming show, you're probably gonna get pretty hungry for content pretty fast. At least I did. Number 11, Team Sonic Racing. This game is so much better than it had any right being. I have a love-hate-love relationship with Sonic. Meaning, some games I love, and some games I hate, but I love that I hate them. I mean, I've played more Sonic 06 in my lifetime than any human being ever should, but goddamn, I just love that little blue man. So obviously, I had no choice but to pick up the latest entry in the Sonic Dynasty. And hot damn, this is a pretty fun racer. Now, I'm no dum-dum. I know that Team Sumo made the legendarily underrated Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing Transformed. I know they're capable of making a fun game, okay? But they took the good stuff from their previous titles and polished it up, and then they added like these really unique squad racing mechanics that I've never seen in a racing game before. It's a good time. I mean, the only thing is, I'm not a big fan of racing games, save for like Mario Kart, so it didn't really capture my attention for long. Billy, then why'd you buy the game in the first place? Listen up, little man. I will do anything to keep Sonic in my life, okay? Anything. You hear me? I will kill a man. I will straight up kill. Number 10, Resident Evil 2 Remake. My entry into the Resident Evil franchise was Resident Evil 7, and I loved it. But it's not totally representative of the gameplay of the rest of the franchise. It's kind of trying new things and reinventing the series a bit, so when I went into the Resident Evil 2 remake, I wanted this, but I got this. Nothing wrong with this, but I really wanted more of this. That's why I didn't like it as much as other people. Objectively, yeah, it's a pretty fantastic game, but subjectively, not really my cup of tea. You know, I prefer a nice lemon ginger, sometimes an Irish breakfast, or an Earl Grey if I'm feeling a little bit saucy. This is like a strong herbal lavender tea. No, not my cup of tea. Hashtag not my tea. Alright, this bit's dead now. Next! Big disclaimer. I have since replayed Resident Evil 2 Remake and gave it a fair shake, and I fucking love this game, and had I given it a fair shake in 2019, it undoubtedly would be higher up on the list, but I replayed it in 2020 and not 2019, so as it stands on this list, it's gonna remain at number 10. I'm sorry, I really do love this game, fuck. Number 9, Pokemon Shield. Some context before I go into this one. I'm a big fan of Pokemon. I grew up with Fire Red, and I followed the series ever since. I still avidly play Pokemon Go, and you bet your ass I dragged my fiance to the theaters to see Detective Pikachu.
Billy, what is that?
Shh, 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 shh. It's Bill Nye. And despite my intense fandom, or maybe because of my intense fandom, I actually didn't care about the controversy before this game's release.
Half of the Pokemon aren't even in this game.
I just wanted Pokemon on my Switch, and that desire was fulfilled. And that's about it. Yeah, there's not much else to see here, from its lackluster post-game to its retconning of the unique inventive mechanics of Sun and Moon. I love the new starters. I will kill someone, do you hear me? I like the fact that there's a heavier emphasis on character and narrative, and the stadium battles were pretty sweet. But aside from all of that, you just got Pokemon on the Switch. The end. And it was pretty okay. Number 8, Slay the Spire. Hey, shout out to my boy Michael for recommending this one. Hey! Embarrassingly, I had a Yu-Gi-Oh phase in college, and with Slay the Spire, I can scratch that itch without feeling like a gigantic weeaboo dork, even though I still totally am one. This game marries deck building and roguelike dungeon crawling masterfully. So masterfully that I was hooked before I even completed my first run. The art is quirky and unique, the music slaps, and despite all of the stuff on the screen, it's actually pretty easy to pick up. There's always that feeling of one more room, one more run, because you always want to test out those new rare cards that you just unlocked. One huge downside of this game though, no Exodia. Number 7, Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. This game is so good that I gave up playing it completely a few hours in, and it's still number 7 on this list. Allow me to elaborate with a metaphor. Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice, to me, is like a beautiful, handcrafted, antique grandfather clock. You look at it and you're like, damn, the craftsmanship, the time, energy, and skill it must have taken to create this wonderful piece of clockwork. You walk up to it, you check the time, you listen to the bells chime as it strikes 12. Breathtaking. And then the clock picks up a fucking sledgehammer and pounds your skull into a bloody pulp. Ah! What the fuck, clock? I thought we were cool! That's what Sekiro is to me. Number 6, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. If Sekiro is an antique grandfather clock, then Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is like a digital watch. Not even close to the same amount of craft as there, but I can actually use this thing. This is truly a case of, see, this is brilliant, but I like this. Objectively, yeah, Sekiro is a much more refined, better overall experience. But I can scale down the difficulty in Star Wars. And I get a cute little robot dude. Listen, I'm a filmmaker. I prioritize story and character and narrative in my games. Fallen Order's narrative is pretty great. And I can't even tell you what Sekiro's narrative is, because I couldn't beat the big fucking drunk dude. And like I said, I'm a gigantic dork. Sci-fi is my jam, and Star Wars, despite Rise of Skywalker being big doggy doo-doo pee-pee doo-doo caca, still has a strong grip over me. Also, this is my opinion, so fuck off. Number 5, Control. I would describe the gameplay of Control as a third-person shooter meets infamous Second Son with Metroidvania, Souls-like, and RPG elements. And I would describe the presentation of Control as Arrival meets The Shining meets any Ridley Scott sci-fi movie. And if that doesn't intrigue you, then I don't know what else to do for you. This game rules. It's insanely fun, and it feels great to control. No pun intended. The narrative is told in such an interesting and cryptic way. Some sequences I had literally no idea what was happening, and I loved every second of it. Every new superpower you earn changes the way you approach combat and the way you view the environment. The game is constantly evolving and throwing new ideas and mechanics at you. The side content is actually interesting, and I didn't want to skip them entirely like I do in a lot of games. I don't have any jokes to tell for this one because there's just so much awesome shit crammed into this game. And with additional missions coming in DLC, there's going to be even more to love about Control in the near future. Number 4, Link's Awakening. Hang on, let me... Just one sec. Sorry, I'm just putting on my bulletproof vest real quick. Alright, cool. I used to really dislike Ocarina of Time. I wasn't crazy about Skyward Sword. I never finished Wind Waker or Link Between Worlds or even Link to the Past.
Then, everything changed when the
Breath of the Wild
attacked.
Now this is my jam! Breath of the Wild is objectively one of the greatest games ever made, and it's single-handedly responsible for making me finally appreciate the Zelda franchise. So, when the Link's Awakening remake was announced, I was like, okay, this is gonna be a more traditional Zelda game. We like Zelda now, right, Billy? Right, Billy. Oh, wow, you look really handsome today. Oh, thanks, Billy. I just did something new with my hair. I'm so glad you noticed. Link's Awakening rules. I love this game. It's so adorable and creative and weird, and all I wanted to do was keep exploring and discovering new things. The dungeons, brilliant. The music, brilliant. The basic premise, brilliant. I just love existing in this world. If Breath of the Wild was my gateway drug, then Link's Awakening was my first line of coke in a Denny's bathroom. What the fuck? Number 3, Observation. Most people probably haven't heard of the game Observation. I stumbled upon it while watching a video showing new releases on the PlayStation Store earlier in 2019. And god damn am I grateful that I did, because I adore this game. In Observation, you play as a space station's AI helping out the main character, Dr. Emma Fisher. You unlock doors, solve puzzles, and watch the narrative unfold strictly through security cameras and these AI pods that control like the Spark in Halo 3's Forge mode. Throughout the story, some real screwy cosmic horror shit goes down and the situation becomes more and more dire. Like I said earlier, science fiction is my jam, and Observation is some good-ass science fiction. The characters, the writing, the atmosphere, it's all just fantastic. More often than not, you're experiencing the story in silence with nothing but the white noise of the space station in the background. Like I keep saying, I'm a guy who loves a good narrative, and Observation is a good narrative told in an extremely compelling way. If there's any game on this list I would recommend to people, it's this one, just because it's so underappreciated. If any of this seems interesting to you, please do yourself and the developers a favor and pick up Observation. Number 2, Kingdom Hearts 3. Alright, before you get mad, I have a Kingdom Hearts tattoo on my chest, alright? This was inevitable. The only thing that should be a surprise to you guys is that it's not number 1 on this list. Is this game perfect? No, not even close. Kingdom Hearts is so breathtakingly fucked from a story perspective. Retcons are abundant, character motivations change with the tides, and there is just no consistency in the writing. But, as someone who grew up with the franchise, I love this shit. At its worst, it's still enjoyable because it's laughably confusing and poorly written, and at its best, it's actually really touching and the characters are really likable. Kingdom Hearts 3 is the pinnacle of the entire franchise. There are moments where I legitimately cried. There are moments that actually got a big laugh out of me. And then there are moments and decisions that are so stupid that it's actually breathtaking. Kairi has spent the last 2 games and the majority of this one training to be a Keyblade master, and then as soon as she steps onto the battlefield, she gets fucking kidnapped again. Half the organization is good now just cuz. Donald casts a spell that is so world-breakingly strong that it officially and canonically makes him the most powerful black mage in all of the Final Fantasy universe, and then he fucking dies. Honestly, I was just so thrilled that they managed to tell a cohesive story at all. I never had any problems with the gameplay, and now that they've added critical mode, there's no validity to the argument that the game isn't difficult enough. The graphics are great, and the music is excellent, as always. Shout out to Yoko Shimomura, one of my all-time favorite composers. The one thing that did really bug me was that they saved all of the important story beats for the last act, so the Disney levels, while fun, really have no point. This didn't really ruin the game for me, though. I just kind of shrugged it off and enjoyed them anyway. As a longtime fan of Kingdom Hearts, this fulfilled my needs, and I'm actually really happy with what we got. Number 1, Death Stranding. I love this game, and while I agree that it's not for everyone, I really don't understand the hatred that some people harbor for it. I love this world, I love these characters, the story, this aesthetic. No, Kojima's writing is not perfect, but personally, I found it really compelling, and I was totally invested as the plot slowly unraveled. And whenever clunky or awkward lines arose, I felt that the incredibly talented voice and mocap artists were skilled enough to soften the awkwardness. And for the record, yes, I even liked the gameplay. You know, a lot of people get on me for not being into the Dark Souls franchise, and they tell me that I just have to stick with it, but that's exactly the case here, too. To me, the entire point of the game is finding joy in the tedium. Yeah, maybe you're just delivering packages, but after you start meeting some really cool people and unlocking new tech and connecting the country, it really becomes fulfilling. I found so much satisfaction in finding new bunkers that were off the beaten path. I found a lot of joy in picking up a new piece of equipment I desperately needed, dropped by some unseen helpful stranger in their own playthrough. I don't mean to be cliche, but Death Stranding really, genuinely made me feel connected. But my favorite thing about Death Stranding, above all, is that it dared to truly be different. Different to the point where they knew they'd alienate some players. But that's exactly what makes great art great. The first Metal Gear Solid wasn't remembered because it was exactly the same as other PlayStation games. It was remembered because it was different and new. Death Stranding wasn't what anyone was expecting, for better or for worse in some people's opinions. But that's what makes it really special to me. And that's what makes it my favorite game of 2019. Whoa, thanks for watching 2 whole videos that I made about games that I played in 2019. I hope it wasn't too weird watching them over halfway through the year 2020, but c'est la vie, I guess, you know, all that French shit. I'm gonna try and revive this channel a little bit and not just post stupid memes that I decide to make once in a blue moon, and actually maybe make some consistent content. So if you want to subscribe, feel free to do so. I'm not making money off of this, so don't subscribe if you don't feel like it, whatever, I don't really give a fuck. But if you're interested in what I have coming up in the future, then hey, why not? Go ahead and click that button. Alright, thanks so much for watching, and see ya.